kind of where I'm stuck right now. Today's topic is to cover a topic that any number of other YouTubers playing CSGO or gaming have covered. And that topic is mouse sensitivity. Now, everybody has their yays and nays, their pros and cons on mouse sensitivity, why you should have this, why you should have that. And they will always point out the top pro settings, what they've got their mouse sensitivity set to, and this, that, and the other. None of them touch on something that's a very important topic, though. And this basic one topic makes most of some of what they've said absolutely incorrect and detrimental to you, the end user, trying to figure out your stuff. Now, their basic goal is they say you want to set your sensitivity so that you can come up and pick a target and move anywhere around that target and keep your crosshair on it or close to on it as best as possible. With as little effort as possible. Easy as can be. So you want to be able to see your target, follow him as best you can, and then take your shot. Now, herein lies your rub. When you go to adjust the sensitivity, of course, you hit your help and options, and you go to keyboard and mouse. And they say 2.4 is what the system defaults it to, and they say that's fine. Other people say, no, you got to be down around 1, and all the pros are down around 0.7 to 1. And I started playing with making this adjustment. And I was having to set my mouse settings at 3.8 to be able to track those targets. As you now see, though, I have my settings at 1.5. So you're asking, what's the big difference? And here's what I learned. Every computer is assembled with one basic item in it, a hard drive. Now, that hard drive makes a difference about everything. Now, I originally had my game installed on a standard SATA 6 gig data transfer, 6 megabytes a second data transfer hard drive. Now, those drives, which I still had some of them installed on my machine, are the K drive per chance. These transfer data at a roughly, and it'll tell us exactly here in a second. This reads information off the hard drive and feeds it to the processor at approximately 113.2 megabytes a second. So, what I found out, I sat here, I had an SSD hard drive. And I decided I would load my operating system on the SSD hard drive and see what happened. Because I knew it had faster data transfer speeds. Now, the SSD hard drive is going to run roughly 400 to 500 megabytes per second, which is literally a 400 or better megabytes per second increase over the SATA hard drive. What I found out at this point in time was I could lower my mouse sensitivity down to about 2.4 to 2 to still track and follow my targets. I then went through, and unfortunately my motherboard would not boot to it. I had to buy a new motherboard and transfer my processor, RAM, and video card and all that over. I bought a new hard drive that would use an NVMe non-volatile memory hard drive. Now, what makes these non-volatile hard drive RAM hard drives better? This one, which mind you is a low end, not even the fastest possible, is going to communicate about 1,000 megabytes per second. 1,031 megabytes per second. The better ones, like right now the Samsung Evo 960, they communicate at 3,200 megabytes per second. So much faster even than this one. But with this one communicating at 1,000 megabytes per second as a rule, I now can turn my mouse settings down to 1.5 and still track my targets. This increases my accuracy, my ability to track my targets, move my mouse while I'm running to pre-aim at my targets. And when I come to a halt, I'm closer to being on the mark when I go to take my shot. So adjusting your mouse sensitivity, though they say this is what it should be, and the pros, this is what theirs are set at, it all depends on the machine you're working from. So if you're working with an old style SATA hard drive, even though they say you should be this is what the pros are, your system may actually have to be 3.8, 4.0, maybe higher to get that tracking. Now, if you're on an SSD hard drive, neighborhood of 2 to 2.4, you're going to be on the mark if you've got an SSD hard drive. Now, if you're on an NVMe hard drive, now right now I'm at 1.5. Now, if I change my drive out and get a drive that is a 3.2 megabytes per second, or 3,200 megabytes per second, I could conceivably get that sensitivity down to 0.5, 0.6, somewhere in that zone, which would in turn just make things better. Because again, the faster your data leaves the hard drive, the drivers, the information, makes it to the processor, through the RAM to the processor, and then back to the video card, the smoother and faster and better everything operates. So when you're setting your mouse sensitivity, you first need to know the type of hard drive you're using, the speed the hard drive is communicating at. Program I used is called Crystal Disk Mark 5.2.2 64-bit. A 32-bit version and a 64-bit version. Now, 90% of you are going to need the 64-bit version, but there are some 32-bit version machines still out there. And you just want to run this on your boot hard drive, your C drive, and see what your megabytes per second data transfer between the hard drive and the processor are. And then once you know that number, you know a rough area to start doing your sensitivity settings. Even though, again, all those other tutorials will tell you, oh, just use this mathematical equation, multiply this. Yeah, I'm a little old school. I'm going to fly by the seat of my pants. My communication speed is this. Then my data transfer speed to the processor is going to be, my mouse settings need to be somewhere between here and here. And then you adjust accordingly for your sweet spot. A little up, a little down. You find that spot that you like the best, stick with it. Now, they may say, oh, that's all wrong. That's all wrong. Well, that falls back to the story of Tiger Woods playing golf with an amateur one day. And the amateur, after the first 2 or 3 holes, was actually beating Tiger. And Tiger turned to him at one point and said, you know, your stance is all wrong. You're not addressing the ball correctly. You need to actually be standing like this and do this. And the guy turned and looked at it and said, well, yep, my stance may be wrong, but I'm beating you. So stance and what they say is supposed to be don't mean jack. What is. What works, works. And if it works for you and it ain't the way they say it should be, too bad. It works for me. And what works for you and makes your gaming better is just that. You and your game being better. So, when it comes to adjusting your mouse sensitivity, use the aimbot training program. Worth its weight in gold as far as, using a target to move by. You can go on any map and just pick a spot on the wall, but this lets you actually move around the actual target and then stop and shoot, and yep, I've got it set right. It gives you a little more flexibility as far as testing as well as seeing it happen. And just adjust your mouse sensitivity until you get it where you need it. Now, once you've done that, leave it alone. You're locked in. You're good as gold. Don't ever change it. There's no need to change it. Now, I hope this video helped anybody. Hope it helps everybody who sees it. And with that being said, if you like the video, well, like I said, this is YouTube. Give it a like down there at the bottom. If you want to see more videos like this, just say something in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. And have a good day out there. Alrighty-o. Helly Hosevich.